Hey everyone, welcome to Killing Time with me, Vash Killjoy. If you're wondering, hey Vash, why should I watch your blog? Simple folks, hardcore nudity. It's gonna be awesome. I'm told we're not allowed to have hardcore nudity on the internet without having to pay for it. So instead, I hope you'll enjoy my ramblings on life, liberty, and just all things crazy that go on inside my head. So please tell your friends, neighbors, cats, dogs that, hey, it's cool. You wanna watch this. Behind me, you're watching an old match: Sting versus Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Title, where Sting and Ric Flair wrestled for one whole hour to a draw. I know what you're saying. A draw sounds kind of boring. There's no winner. True enough, but when you're talking about two guys going at it in their profession for 1 hour and have the entire crowd of over 20,000 strong in the palm of their hands, that is pretty special. So, question for me is, why do I still watch wrestling when things like this are gone? And I guess for me, I have to go back to the beginning. For me, the beginning is way back in the golden time of wrestling, when wrestling was really wrestling. Wrestling was considered a sport. There was a time where you can buy a local newspaper, open to the back, and see actual wrestling results in your local area. And for me, growing up, that was big, because a lot of kids would tell me wrestling is fake, it's a joke, but my comeback was always, it has to be real. It's in the sports section. I could pick up my local newspaper, and there it is, the back, wrestling. So for me, I took it personally. I thought wrestling was real. I thought wrestling was a sport. I loved wrestling. I love wrestling because two guys can, for an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, make you believe they're really fighting. And not so much that they're really fighting, but they're doing it in a way where they can't use words. It's the art of wrestling, really. The forearms, the body slams, taking your time in the ring, just little things that if you really didn't pay attention to would just pass you by and didn't realize it. But it's such a beautiful art to wrestling that, for me personally, always brought me in. I couldn't get enough of it. But as time has gone on, wrestling kind of evolved or devolved, depending on your point of view, when Austin 316 came along. Glass shattered and WWF. Yes, I'm calling it WWF. Fuck you, WWE. In the WWF, where cussing was kind of allowed. When the girls' skirts got a little bit shorter, boobs a little more visible, blood was kind of a regular thing, and really like a bunch of dick and fart jokes were pretty much the core for every show. But before then, it was ECW that really had that violent, hardcore, fast-paced wrestling action that gave birth to the Attitude Era, and that's a whole other blog altogether where I'll ramble about that whole mess. But wrestling still existed. Wrestling was still pure, even though it was kind of lost in the blood and the extreme and the tits and the bad dick and fart jokes. Wrestling to me was still there. The beautiful art that was wrestling was still alive. As time has gone on, though, entertainment seems to be what wrestling has evolved to. Me personally, I think it devolved, because the art of wrestling is pretty much dead, folks. I'm a loyal wrestling fan, but the art of wrestling, for the most part, is dead in the United States. If you're not doing some kind of form of tongue-in-cheek or TNA, no one's really paying you much mind. There's very few wrestlers left, and wrestlers, remember that word, wrestlers, not entertainers, wrestlers. If you don't know what the difference is, here's the difference. John Cena is an entertainer. Chris Jericho is a wrestler. John Cena will entertain your 5-year-old, your 10-year-old, make you believe he's Superman. Chris Jericho can pull this off still for 20, 30 minutes. Doesn't need to say dick and fart jokes, make you believe what happens in that ring is beautiful, as an art, and style, and will keep you glued to your seat. Even the most casual wrestling fan will be drawn in by that. That's the difference between a wrestler and an entertainer. But why do I still watch it if I know wrestling is, for the most part, dead? I watch it because I remember this. I remember the golden age of wrestling. I remember growing up watching Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon at noon on Channel 5. For those in New York might remember this. For 1 hour, wrestling was done by WWF, and you watched. And that was great. I remember my dad taking me to my first show in Madison Square Garden. I'll never forget it. It was Hulk Hogan versus the Big Boss Man. And seeing it live, little Vash started realizing, hey, wrestling may be fake, but little me was still going, man, this is freaking awesome. I didn't understand what I was seeing. Older me realizes that it's such a beautiful art style, no different than the circus, no different than anything else, of storytelling, albeit it's very physical and demanding storytelling, but it's still storytelling nonetheless. And when done properly, it's very beautiful and will engage you. You don't need the storylines. It helps for backdrop. But when that bell rings, this is what wrestling is, and this is why I still hope to see when I turn on the TV every Monday night. There's very few wrestlers left in the world that actually wrestle and aren't hampered by political politics that, the most popular guy gets the most time on TV, even though the most popular time on TV is him for a half hour talking about junk, cracking jokes, nothing to do with the story, just yammering away, entertaining, which is great for entertainment purposes. But at some point, if you got a 2-hour show and an hour 40 of it is you yammering away and doing social media and your latest bullying campaign, which I find ironic when you're doing a bully campaign, but your management bullies the shit out of your employees. Again, that's another blog for another day. But going back to the original point, why do I love wrestling? I remember this beautiful storytelling, way wrestling was meant to. And to give you an idea of why I love wrestling, I still have this shirt. And once I get it up, that is. I mentioned Chris Jericho a lot. For me personally, he's my favorite wrestler. And I still have this shirt from way back in the Attitude Era. Would you please shut the hell up? This is my favorite shirt. Can you imagine I was this fat at one time? Good lord, I fucking inhaled another human being. But that's besides the point. Why do I love wrestling? Because it's art. Art, wherever you can find it, is still beautiful. Whether it be a painting out in the gallery or two guys doing this for 1 hour. It's art. It's beautiful. It's meant to be fun. And I still can't get enough of it. Little old me is still in there ticking, still bitching, hoping to see real wrestling. I get shades every now and then, but it's not enough. One day, hopefully, that good old days will return when we'll all be laughing at this podcast going, man, remember when wrestling was fake? Wait a minute. It is fake. Oh, shit.